Dronacharya, the revered master, took note of Arjuna's skill. He saw in Arjuna not just a student, but an extension of his own legacy. He made a promise. Arjuna would be the greatest archer to ever live, and so, while others trained, Arjuna trained harder. While others rested, he honed his skills in solitude. His dedication knew no limits, but admiration was not universal. Standing in the shadows, his fists clenched in quiet rage, was Duryodhana, the eldest of the Kauravas, the prince of Hastinapura by birthright, yet always second to Arjuna in skill. He too was a warrior, fierce, ambitious, and unrelenting, but no matter how hard he fought, the whispers in the court always praised Arjuna. The jealousy within him festered like an open wound. How could a mere Pandava outshine him? Beyond the walls of Hastinapura, far from the luxuries of a royal court, another warrior was rising. Deep in the forests, surrounded by nothing but trees and solitude, a young tribal prince trained in silence. His name was Ekalavya. He had no teacher, no wealth, no noble lineage, only an idol. A small statue of Dronacharya, sculpted with his own hands, stood before him as he practiced tirelessly. Day and night he shot arrows with unerring precision, drawing inspiration from a master who had never even acknowledged him. He had no formal lessons, yet his skills surpassed even Arjuna's. But destiny is often cruel to those born without privilege. When Dronacharya learned of this unknown archer, his pride flared. A teacher could have only one greatest student, one heir to his martial wisdom. If Ekalavya existed, it meant Arjuna was not supreme, and so, with cold resolve, he demanded the ultimate price. Ekalavya's right thumb, the very essence of his skill. There was no anger in Ekalavya's eyes, no rebellion, only devotion. Without hesitation, he took his knife and sliced through flesh and bone, severing the thumb that had made him great. Blood dripped onto the earth, marking the end of his dream. He laid the severed piece of himself at Dronacharya's feet, his sacrifice accepted, his story all but erased. Meanwhile, another warrior entered the gates of Hastinapura, his presence destined to shake the kingdom to its core, Karna. His golden armor gleamed under the sun, his stance radiated confidence, his eyes burned with determination. He was every bit a warrior, strong, skilled, and fearless, but when he stepped forward to challenge Arjuna in the royal arena, he was met not with respect, but with mockery. "Who is he?" the nobles murmured. "A warrior? A king's son?" But no royal name followed, no grand lineage accompanied his claim to greatness. Karna had no kingdom, no father's name to shield him. In the eyes of the world he was nothing. Dronacharya refused to acknowledge him. The assembled royals sneered. "Only a prince may challenge a prince," they declared. Karna's fists clenched, but his fury found no outlet. He was a warrior, yet no one would let him fight. Then a voice cut through, calm yet commanding. "I crown him a king," declared Duryodhana, stepping forward with a knowing smile. His words hung in the air, silencing the murmurs of the assembled nobles and warriors. He gestured toward Karna, who still stood, his heart pounding, his pride wounded by the cruel question that had just been thrown at him. "What is your lineage? Who are you to challenge Arjuna?" Duryodhana raised his voice so that all could hear. "From this moment, Karna shall rule the land of anger. Now he is worthy." A stunned silence followed. Then murmurs rippled through the crowd. The kingdom of Anga, a prosperous land to the east of Hastinapura, was often considered a lesser territory, overshadowed by the great Kuru dynasty. But it was still a kingdom, a throne, a title, and most importantly, an identity. Duryodhana had taken a man scorned as a lowborn and given him a kingdom, forcing the world to acknowledge his worth. Karna fell to his knees, overwhelmed. He had always known he was talented, had always felt destiny pulling him toward greatness. Yet time and again society had denied him a place among the noble-born warriors. Now, with this single act, Duryodhana had lifted him up, not as a mere warrior, not as a mere challenger to Arjuna, but as a king. He clasped Duryodhana's hands tightly, eyes burning with gratitude. "I have nothing to offer you in return, my prince," Karna said, his voice thick with emotion. Duryodhana smiled, his expression unreadable. "Then offer me your friendship, Karna. Stand by my side as my brother." A friendship was forged in that moment, one of brotherhood. As Arjuna basked in his glory, certain of his rightful place as the greatest warrior of his generation, Duryodhana seethed with resentment. He had seen the way the elders looked at the Pandavas, their pride, their approval. It was always about Arjuna, about Yudhishthira, about Bhima. But what of him? Had he not trained just as hard? Had he not proven himself? And what of Ekalavya, the boy who had once dared to surpass Arjuna? He had been cast aside, his talent sacrificed at the altar of caste and tradition. Two outcasts, one abandoned, the other crowned. The princes continued their training, but something had changed. The bonds between them had begun to fray. The seeds of hatred had been sown. The battle for supremacy had begun. But where would it lead? To honor, to ruin, or to war? The wheels of fate had begun to turn, and there was no stopping them now.